So I'm just finished a workout today, and I thought I'd do a piece on standards of flexibility, of what levels of flexibility you should have in certain muscles. I'll mainly kind of cover the lower body and maybe one or two shoulder stretches, but mainly lower body in this section. So to start off with, the first one is hamstrings, pretty obvious one. So with the legs totally straight out in front of you, just take the flesh away from your bum, so you're sitting on your tailbone perfectly, and you should be able to reach as far forwards as you can and comfortably touch your toes. Ideally, you want to try and do that with a straight back, so rather than this, you need to kind of keep your chest and head forward as much as you can, and then back forwards and hold on to your toes and focus on taking the chest forwards and down rather than rounding down into it. So basically you should be able to touch your toes regardless of the position comfortably enough to work on your hamstring flexibility. I will cover calves as well, so we'll cover that while we're on it, because they're linked in with the hamstrings, because if the calf muscles get very, very tight, the hamstrings will have to do an awful lot more work in a lot of your movements. Regardless whether you're running or doing weights, your hamstrings will have to do more work. So my way of checking whether somebody has very tight calf flexibility, and again, these are just my ways of checking, everybody's going to have their own way, is to get people to go into what's called a dog down position, which is in this position. So they put one heel on the floor and they drive their head to their arms, and you try and work the heel down towards the floor. So not this would be very, very bad, the shoulders all hunched. You just put one foot in the center, put one foot in behind, and then just push all the way back to your head, sinks deep in between the arms, shoulder blades are rotated out, and the heel should comfortably move down towards the floor. If the heel doesn't move down towards the floor, then you need to just practice that stretch an awful lot more and work on your calf flexibility. The next one will be just your groin flexibility. So with the soles of the feet together, you should be able to just take your feet, open them up like a book, and then just work your knees down towards the floor. Now, ideal is having the knees pretty much on the floor, but even just to get into that position, if you're in, let's say, just this position, your feet forward, your knees are kind of looking up towards the ceiling, then you seriously need an awful lot of work on your adductors and all the kind of groin area. So you need to do this stretch and maybe some wide angle stretches as well, just to work on your groin flexibility. So just really work on your groin flexibility an awful lot. And if you can, get somebody to assist you. So while you're in this position, get somebody to gently push on the knees from behind and to try and put a bit of pressure on it every now and again to make you do some isometric contractions to help ease that down just bit by bit by bit. And eventually you should be able to kind of just work your head down towards your feet more and more as you improve your flexibility and your knees can come down. And again, as you can see, my knees need a little bit of work, but if I was to just do my normal stretching after the workout I've just done now, for about maybe 10, 20, even another 30 minutes, I'd get into the stretches bit by bit and I'd get a little bit deeper into it. The next stretch just will be piriformis or glute stretch. So just take one leg back. You ideally should have almost a 90-degree angle here at the front, and then just work your hip down towards the heel in that position. You just work your head down towards the floor. So you should ideally be able to get your elbows and head down towards the floor as much as you can, either in that position or you can do it sitting on a bench, where you basically sit on a bench just like that, and then just cross one foot over your knee and work your head down towards your foot. It depends on what you have available to you, and that will help to just improve your overall flexibility in that area. Next one is just a hip flexor for the front or back legs. This is my back leg I'm checking hip flexor flexibility for. So I'm just going to drive that from you forward. You try and get your hip down towards the floor as much as you can. In that position, it's also going to check your thigh flexibility. You should be able to reach back, grab onto the foot, bring the back foot against your bone, as close as you can to your bone, and still then drive that front knee forward bit by bit by bit. So you're working into that a little bit more. Again, that one can be done on the bench as well. You put one knee on the bench, bring the other foot as far forward as you can, and you should ideally be able to bring that back foot against your bone. If you can't do a lot of these stretches, and the stretching alone is even very, very difficult, then you need to use the foam rolls and balls an awful lot more to improve your overall flexibility. as sometimes just stretching on its own isn't really going to work. You've got to do a lot of stretching and a lot of foam rolling. And the next one is just going to be for the shoulders. So again, you can use a bench or a Swiss ball for this. So basically, you just take your bench or a ball, and then in that position, you just lift your hands up behind your back. So we're just there, and then just sit down onto the floor, and then in that position, you should be able to just get your chest and shoulders up just a little bit more. I'm trying to keep my hands linked behind my back, and then in that position, you should be able to sit nice and tall, and then you just have to wiggle your feet forward and bum forward a little bit more so you can kind of really work on pushing that chest out as much as you can. Again, if you're wondering why you're getting a lot of shoulder problems, or why whenever you bench press all the time, the front delta taking all the weight, it's probably because your shoulders are a bit sort of rounded forwards all the time. You need to pull them back. Another nice yoga stretch you use would be one where you've got your opposite leg out forward, reach forward, wrap all the way around, and then you should be able to link up your hands behind your back in that position. Again, if you're finding it very, very difficult to do that, then you just really need to do an awful lot more work on your flexibility. So also as well, I tend to get clients do an awful lot of what's called dog up, dog down, which is done in a lot of different forms of yoga. So in that position, you would start normally with legs crossed, you'd rock forwards a little bit, kick the legs back, lower. Ideally, when you lower down, you don't touch the floor with anything other than your feet and your hands. You scoop forwards. This would be wrong because that looks ugly on your shoulders. This would be right. And then shoulders roll back, hips are off the floor, knees are off the floor. Flip back down into dog down that we spoke about earlier. Drive the heels down onto the floor. And you can just hold this position for about 5 or 10 breaths. And once you've finished, if you can, you jump forward and you simply sit back down off the floor again. And as you get better, that'll get a little bit more graceful and you'll work into it. The big thing about stretching is allow your body to relax into the stretches. There's no point, let's say, doing hamstring stretch like that and then just fighting it all the time. You've got to kind of just hold it and ease down into it bit by bit by bit, rather than trying to push into it all the time, because your muscles won't relax. You have to try and ease into it. And it's like I've said before, the quality of the movements, whether you're running, whether you're doing weights, are completely dependent on the quality of the muscles. So if the muscles are very, very tight, you're not even going to really feel fit or feel great about yourself, because you're walking around like a bag of guitar strings. You need to try and loosen those muscles out a little bit more, and it'll help you feel an awful lot fitter and feel a lot more flexible, and movements become much easier because you don't have that resistance to keep pushing against all the time. So any of the stretches that I've gone through today can be done as standalone stretches. I like to kind of just do the dog up, dog down after almost every single stretch, because that kind of keeping your body up. And normally, if you're a little bit warmer, you'll be a little bit more flexible. So hope that was helpful. Make sure you do that in conjunction with some foam rolling as well. And if you have any questions, just post them up. Thanks for your time.